Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making this little sleepy unicorn. It was a request from a viewer on another one of my videos, and I am also going to offer you the option to make it in different sizes depending on your yarn and your hook. I do not know what number this yarn is. It is just a generic brand from the dollar store, but I know it's so tiny that I've had it for over a year and I just haven't used it because I like my number 4. But I'm going to say it's a number 2 or a number 3 sport weight because it's very similar. So this is the weight. Sorry, this is going to be a long intro, but I think there's some info that will come in handy for you. So this is a normal number 4. This is the size I'm using. And this is that teeny tiny baby yarn on the bottom, which also doesn't have a number because it's probably 25 to 30 years old. Another yarn I'll probably never use because it's so tiny. So let's just say it's a number 2 sport weight yarn. And then we do a number 4 yarn in this one that is a little bit bigger. And then I also did the exact pattern. This guy's so big I can't get him on my table. In a number 6 blanket yarn. And I think he turned out super cute. So I will be doing everything for you to do any one of these 3 unicorns. Except for the mane. I plan on making 3 videos, one for each. So when I do this one, I'll do the mane, but I will, at the end of this video, put a little screenshot of the best I can do at a pattern for this little twist on the big one. So he will be no-sew from the tip of his nose down to his bum. We'll add the legs on as we go. I decided not to no-sew the ears because I wanted to make sure my placement was where I wanted it after I did the horn. And I thought the horn might be easier to do if there were no ears on. Plus then we gotta line up the ears and 2 sets of legs instead of just the legs. But I think he turned out super cute. And like all my other videos, this is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, but I will have a little drop down up at the top for the first 15 seconds of every row in case I mistakenly say the wrong thing or you get lost or can't understand what I'm doing. If you enjoy my videos, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Not only does that help me out, but it will also send you a notification every time I load a new video. And you can also hit the like button, leave a comment, or feel free to share this on other places. Okay, I think that's it. If I forgot anything, I'll add it in editing. So let's get started. Okay, for the legs, you are going to grab your accent color and you are just going to make a knot with a loop on the end. You can also use a magic circle or however you're used to starting. It's all going to be the same amount of stitches. So you're going to insert your hook, grab your yarn, pull it up and through, and chain 1, and that is just to secure your yarn to the loop. It does not count as a stitch. And for row 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets into this loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now grab a stitch marker if you're using one. I'm going to use one for the video, but once you're done your first one, you probably don't need one after that. Okay, for row 2, you are going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in each stitch all the way around. Oh, this is a tricky one. All right. Increase 1 and 2. Increase 3 and 4. Increase 5 and 6. Increase 7 and 8. Increase 9 and 10. And increase 11 and 12. For row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, stuck somewhere, 17 or 16, and an increase, 17 and 18. For row 4, we are just going to do 18 single crochets all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, whoops, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. For row 5, we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 and decrease for 2, 3, decrease 4, 5, decrease 6, 7, decrease 8, 9, decrease 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. Row 6, we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 8. 1 and decrease for 2. Oops, my brown. 3, decrease 4. 5, decrease 6, 7, and a oops, got a sparkle there. Decrease for 8. Oh, and don't finish off that 8th stitch because we are going to change our color now. So you should have 3 loops on your hook so you can pull your next color through. So grab your main color and you're just going to tie that on as close to the hook as you can get it. Oh. So I usually do it 2 or 3 times. And then you can cut off your accent color. And then you're just going to pull that through to finish off that last stitch of the row. Just like that. Tuck your ends in, get them out of your way. Now for rows 7 to 10, we're just going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. And I am going to do mine consecutively, so that's 4 rows, and 4 times 8 is 32, so I'm just going to do 32 stitches, flipping my stitch marker every time I hit a set of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Flip your marker if you're using one. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Flip your marker. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Flip your marker. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and 32. We'll just take our stitch marker out now, and we are going to stuff his little foot. So you don't need too much, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate mine into 4, because we have 4 legs to do, just so we have kind of the same amount in each leg. And just double check that they're kind of the same. And put the other ones just to the side. You may have to add a little bit as you go. But that's a little bit. Okay, that's about the same. And then you're just going to put that. Oh, this seems like too much. Now I might be splitting these. We'll see. So you want to get it right down into the bottom. Depending on how small you made your little leg, it's going to be trickier for some, like me. There we go. I got it going. So just so it kind of starts into a bit of a ball shape. So I definitely will be splitting all these in half. Okay. And once you're happy with how much stuffing you have in there, you're just going to reinsert your hook. And you're going to put 3 single crochets across the top. So you want to go in through the front in the next stitch, and then in the back in your last stitch. Making sure you're getting through both loops of that V on both sides. And then just 3 across. So 1, 2, and 3. And then if you leave a little bit of a tail, don't really need it in this one, but I don't know what else to do with it. And then we can use that to pull the legs in later if we need to. Okay, so you are going to make 4 more, or 3 more, so you have 4. I am going to put a little screenshot with a timestamp to go back and restart this if you need it. Otherwise, you can pause it if you remember that. And then I will meet you back on the next part to start the head and body of the unicorn. Okay, you should have all 4 of your legs done and ready for when we get to them. And we are going to start at the head, and you're just going to make your knot with the loop at the end. Now, if you are using plush yarn right now, the magic circle does work better, but you can still do it this way. What I found, I did look at a couple tutorials to get rid of that cone kind of shape. What I found is I am a tight crocheter, so when I do my stitches, my needle comes down, and I think my problem was the first row was normal, and then as I got going on the second row, it was super tight and it curved. So when you do your second row, bring your stitches, so if this is your first single crochet of your next row, when you're doing your stitches, instead of going like this and grabbing your yarn, point your needle up a bit, or your hook up a bit, and when you come through, bring that stitch up level with the stitch behind it, or the loop, and you'll find that your stitches are a lot looser, and don't make that cone shape. So you're just going to go like this instead of where you'd normally be pointing down and getting a nice tight stitch. Okay, I apologize to anybody else that's not using plush yarn and had to watch that, but I know that's a big thing in people starting out with this plush yarn. Okay, so you're going to grab your yarn, pull up, make your chain. Remember, that does not count as a stitch. And we are going to put 6 single crochets into this loop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Grab your stitch marker if you are using one. And for round 2, we are just going to do 6 increases for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, and remember, if you're doing the plush yarn, pull your loops up, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and increase 11 and 12. For row 3, you are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase for a total of 18. So 1 increase, 2 and 3, 4 increase, 5 and 6, 7 and an increase, 8 and 9, 10 and an increase, 11 and 12, 13 and an increase, 14 and 15, 16 and an increase, 17 and 18. For row 24, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. I got a little knot going here. 1 second. Okay. So 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and increase, 23 and 24. For rows 5, 6, and 7, we are just going to do 24 single crochets all the way around, and I'm going to do them consecutively again. So that's 3 rows, or 24 times 3, which is 72. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, flip your marker if you're using one, and keep on counting, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, flip your marker, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, and 72. For row 8, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5. 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, and an increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, and an increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, and an increase, 24 and 25, and this should be our last set, 26, 27, 28, and an increase, 29 and 30. For row 9, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase for a total of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and an increase, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and an increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and an increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and an increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and an increase, 29 and 30. This should be our last one. 31, 32, 33, 34, and our increase, 35 and 36. Row 10, we are going to do just 1 row of 36 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and 36. For row 11, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 decrease for a total of 30. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and a decrease for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a decrease for 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and a decrease for 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and a decrease for 30. Row 12, we're just going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. For row 13, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and decrease for 24. Row 14, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, decrease for 3, 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, and decrease for 18. Row 15, you're just going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Okay, for row 16, we are going to add the front legs. So grab your legs and get them ready. So you're going to want 2 of them. And we're going to start off, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 3 through the arm and the head, 6 across the top, 3 through the arms and the head, and then 3 to finish off. But I will do that with you nice and slow. So 3 single crochets, whoops, 1, 2, and 3. Then you're going to grab your first arm or leg and make sure your strings are facing to what's going to be the top of your unicorn. And you're going to go into your first stitch of the leg and your next stitch of the head. So there's your last stitch. So you want to go into this stitch right here. And then you're going to just single crochet through both layers. And we're going to do that 3 times. So that was 1. This is 2. And then 3. And make sure you're going in the next stitch because it's really easy to go in the same stitch because they're pulled so far apart when you're doing this. And now you're going to do 6 single crochets across the top of your unicorn. So there's your last stitch right there. You're going to go into this stitch right here. So 6 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you're going to grab your other leg, front leg. Make sure your yarn is pointing to the top again. So it's going to be the opposite way as the one you just did. And you're going to do the same thing, 3 single crochets through both the arm and the head, making sure you are going in the right stitch. Whoops. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you should have 3 stitches left. 1, 2, 3. Now it's going to start looking like a little guy that you're making. For row 17, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase for a total of 24. One, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, whoops, 7 and 8. Make sure you don't go over those tails, we'll use them later. 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and an increase, 23 and 24. For rows 18 to 20, you're going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. So that's 3 rows, and I'm going to do those consecutively again. So 3 times 24 is 72. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, flip your marker, 25, oops, a little fuzz there, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. Flip your marker. Whoop, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, and 72. Row 21 is going to be 3 single crochets, 1 increase for a total of 30. Oops. So 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, and an increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, and an increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, and an increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, and an increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and an increase, 29 and 30. Row 22, we are just going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. Oop. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Okay, for row 23, we are going to add the other set of legs. And when I did the little one, I had 14 stitches across the top. And then when I did the plush one in the blanket yarn, I moved it to 12. So when you're doing these, they should easily start the same. You want to make sure your legs are lining up with your front legs. So if I have, what do I have? I have 6 stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the next one, so that's going to line up. And then when I get around to this other side, just make sure before you attach it that they're kind of evenly adding up and that you've got them kind of right here at the center. So follow along, but if you need to adjust how many stitches between legs, you do whatever yours looks better. So we're going to start with 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Grab your third leg. Oops. And with the strings facing towards the top, you're going to go through those 3 next stitches and do 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. And now you're going to go somewhere between 12 and 14 stitches. If you want to mark it out, you can just kind of fold it and then put a little stitch marker right around here. Then as you're going around, you kind of see where you're starting. Whoops, I need that. Okay, I'm going to start with 14 and see where I end up here. So in your next stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and just kind of watch now where you want to start your leg. To me, that seems pretty good. So I'm actually, what am I doing? I think I'm doing 13. And then I'm going to join my leg. Make sure the string is facing the top. And then go through both layers of the body and the leg. Number 4. Making sure you're in that next stitch. And 3 single crochets across. 1, 2, and 3. And then just crochet to the end. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches left. You might have a different number. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so for row 24, we are going to do 3 single crochets and 1 decrease, and repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4. 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8. 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, whoops, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. I think I'll go one more round and then stuff it. Actually, let's stuff it now, because if you're using blanket yarn, you're going to start getting a tiny hole real quick here. So we'll stuff it, but we won't stuff the body super full. Now, if you're using some safety eyes on this one, you want to put them in now before we close it up. Probably, I don't know, around rows 8 and 9-ish. It's hard to say, but I would stuff your head first, remembering you got a horn and a mane going on there as well. Or you might just not want to close it up all the way or tie it off, and then you can undo the stuffing once your head or horn and ears are on, and then just redo the last 2 or so rows. All right, so we'll put a little tiny bit in his body. That's probably more than a tiny bit. I got a mess. Okay. You don't want to do it too full, so you can still do your decreases without stretching too much. Okay, so for row 25, we're going to do 2 single crochets and 1 decrease for a total of 18. And if you got a lot of stuffing, then try not to get any stuffing with your hook here. 1, 2, yep, I got too much stuffing. And a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and decrease for 9, 10, 11, and decrease for 12, 13, 14, and decrease for 15, 16, 17, and decrease for 18. I'm just slowly adding a half of the stuffing I took out. For row 26, you're going to do 1 single crochet and 1 decrease all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 and decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and decrease for 12. Add whatever bit of stuffing you want back in there, depending on how firm you want him. I have his head fairly firm, so maybe I'll make his body fairly firm. This one was pretty soft, actually. I made the plush one really firm. Okay, let's go with that. And for row 27, you're just going to do 6 decreases. Now, if you're using the plush yarn, you don't have to do all 6. Just as it starts closing up, stop when you think it's closed enough, because you don't want to have you want it to be flat and not kind of pucker up when you sew it closed. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, 4 decreases, 5 decreases, and 6 decreases. And then you're just gonna slip stitch in the next stitch, and you're gonna tie that off. If you haven't stuffed it enough, this is your last chance, so just double check that you're happy with it. I think I'm okay. Okay, so now we're going to close this up. I'm going to take my stitch marker out, but I am going to put a little tiny piece in the bottom just so I remember which side the bottom is when I start doing the face. So just a tiny little marker like that. You don't have to. For a first little bit, this will remind you. Okay, so now we're going to close up the bottom. Oh, I can't get the right, there we go. So just weave in and out. Whoops, and you can see I didn't do my decreases very good, but that's the one thing I like about the plush yarn. I've only made a couple of things, but you can't even tell where a decrease is. Well, you can if you know what you're looking for, the 2 stitches instead of the 1, but I mean, there's no holes like this. If you do have this and it bugs you, you can kind of come in and around. Just follow whichever way your stitches were going, and you can kind of tighten that up, but I'm not going to worry about this. So then just tie that off. Some little knot. And then you're just going to bring that down right close to where you tied off and come down on the bottom somewhere, and then just pull that so you get that knot kind of on the inside, and then you can cut that. And we'll put these little strings in. Now normally I use these strings to kind of tighten up the arms on little bodies, but you don't really need to do that on this one, so I'm just bringing them in and tying them so they're kind of secure. So go in where your last stitch was on when you attached your arm, and then just come up somewhere in the center, and then if you pull that, you can kind of get that knot. Well, it's not where you tied off, kind of inside the body. That's about all you're doing here, because floppiness kind of works for this project. I almost prefer it actually. So I'm not pulling these tight. I'm just keeping them kind of the same tension as if they were just sitting there. Then you're going to tie that loose and then tighter. See, this arm already wants to come up. You don't want them coming up, but that will relax a bit over time. And then just go down in the same place, out the bottom somewhere, and then do the same thing for the other legs. So right where your last stitch was, go in that hole and then come up somewhere. Do the same for the other leg. I'm just going to try and make sure I'm in the same row here. Okay, doesn't really matter because it kind of spirals around anyway when you do in the rounds. So sometimes they're a little cockeyed just because of that. Tie that. And then just put them in the body and out through the bottom. Just any old place. And then give them a trim. And then we are going to make the horns and the ears. Okay, for the ears, you are going to make your knot with the loop on the end. Or your magic ring. And we are going to grab our yarn, pull it up and through, and then chain one to attach it to our loop. Remember, that doesn't count as a stitch. And for row 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, oopsie, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I just seen I didn't turn my other light on, so let's do that. Okay, grab a stitch marker if you're using one. It is going to be a pain in the butt and in your way, so if you don't need one, we only have a couple of rows. I'm going to use one just so you can see where all my stitches are. For row 2, we are going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase for a total of 8. So 1, 2, and an increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, and an increase, 7 and 8. For row 3, we're going to do 3 single crochets and 1 increase for a total of 10. 1, 2, 3, and an increase for, whoops, see there's my stitch marker coming through, and 5 for an increase. 6, 7, 8, and an increase, 9 and 10. Row 4, we're just going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Row 5, we are just going to do 5 decreases all the way around. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, 4 decreases, and 5 decreases. And then we are just going to fold it in half, and we're going to put 2 single crochets across the ear. So going through both sides. Don't have to be too specific where you even go in. Just 1 and 2. And then just tie that off. Leave a little bit for sewing the ear on. You're only going in 2 stitches, but you'll want a little bit to be able to maneuver with. Okay, so you're going to need 2 of these. So I am actually just going to repeat putting the rows I just did in, so you don't have to go back and look for a timestamp for a minute or 2. I'll do mine off camera, and then I will meet you back to do the horns. Okay, for the ears, you are going to make your knot with the loop on the end. Or your magic ring. And we are going to grab our yarn, pull it up and through, and then chain 1 to attach it to our loop. Remember, that doesn't count as a stitch. And for row 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. So 1, 2, Oopsie. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I just seen I didn't turn my other light on, so let's do that. Okay, grab a stitch marker if you're using one. It is going to be a pain in the butt and in your way, so if you don't need one, we only have a couple of rows. I'm going to use one just so you can see where all my stitches are. For row 2, we are going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase for a total of 8. So 1, 2, and an increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, and an increase, 7 and 8. For row 3, we're going to do 3 single crochets and 1 increase for a total of 10. 1, 2, 3, and an increase for, whoops, see, there's my stitch marker coming through, and 5 for an increase. 6, 7, 8, and an increase, 9 and 10. Row 4, we're just going to do 10 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Row 5, we are just going to do 5 decreases all the way around. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, 4 decreases, and 5 decreases. And then we are just going to fold it in half, and we're going to put 2 single crochets across the ear. So going through both sides. Don't have to be too specific where you even go in. Just 1 and 2. And then just tie that off. Leave a little bit for sewing the ear on. You're only going in 2 stitches, but you'll want a little bit to be able to maneuver with. Okay, so you should have your 2 ears done, and now we're going to do the horn. And the horn is not fun because we're going to start with 4 single crochets. If for some reason you just can't get that tiny down into 4 single crochets, start with 6. All right, so pull your yarn up and through and chain 1. Now we're going to start our 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now if you go over your chain, you can kind of tighten that, give it a pull, and it will kind of make that hole a little smaller. You can also pull it later on once you get going around. For row 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet and 1 increase, but remember when you're going around, these stitches are going to stretch and it's going to look like you're going in the next stitch, but you really have to reach around to get to the next stitch. Okay, so for 1, get that first one in there. And so see, it kind of looks like you're supposed to go here, but your next stitch is actually over here. Because you have a stitch in there, it just really pulled. So an increase. 2 and 3. And the tighter you get it, the better. So way over here. 4. And then way over here. 5 and 6 into that stitch. Whoops. And that will bring you all the way around. Now, I'll grab a stitch marker just so you can kind of see what I'm doing. For row 3, row 3 and 4, we are going to do 6 single crochets. So let's just go around and do 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's 1 row, and we'll do our second row. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And now we are going to do 2 single crochets and 1 increase. So we have 8 stitches. And it'll start getting a little easier now. So 1, 2, and increase. 3 and 4. 5, 6, and an increase. 7 and 8. And now we are going to do 2 rows of 8. So we're just going to do 16 and just flip our marker when we hit 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, flip, 9, 10, whoops, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then you're just going to tie that off in the next stitch. And leave a bit of a tail to sew that on. Okay, grab your pins. We're going to do a little bit of pre-work. So hopefully when we start putting stuff together, it's a little easier. So first you want to kind of find your center, so kind of even out your legs. And then starting from down in the first round here. See, there's a bit of a weird reflection here. Oh. Let's shut this off. That's why. Okay, there. So find about your center, and you're just going to put your needle in there for a second. And we are going to count up to row 6. So starting down at your first loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So between row 6 and 7 is where you want to have your needle, and this is where we're going to center our eyes. So grab your pins. Now if you are using the plush yarn, I really recommend counting how many pins you used. So I think I originally used about 8. So write that 8 number down, because it is really easy to lose them, especially if there's these short little ones and you don't want to not be able to find a pin. The worst thing I can almost guarantee is that you sell something and then you're like, wait, was there still a pin in that one? Okay, well, not the worst thing, but you'll feel pretty bad. Okay, so we have our center, and we are going to go over 3 holes. Now I can't hardly see. Okay. So I have my stitch, or my marker, right in the middle of a stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. Put your pin in. And do the other side. 1, 2, and 3, and put a pin in. Now grab another pin. And your horn is going to go about 3 rows up. I'm going to get rid of that so it's out of my way. So here's where the row you have pinned off, and you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and your horn is going to kind of go around this row right here and back. So the front of your horn will be right here where this pin is. So let's put that on right now. Or maybe we'll stuff it a little bit. So you're probably just going to need the teeniest amount of stuffing. Just so it stands straight up instead of kind of like flop, it's not going to flop around like just sitting there, but if it gets dropped or played with a lot, it'll start to kind of droop over, I would think. I didn't bring my bigger hooks up, so I don't have anything to jam down in there. That's pretty tiny. And it'll also make sewing easier if the opening is kind of already firmly round instead of will fold over on you. So just try not, I think I got too much, but I really want that in there. Nope, I'm going to start stretching the stitches here. See what I did. Compromise and do half. Okay, so with your tie-off string in the back, you're going to just stick that horn right about where that pin is. And then just tuck it in there. Kind of hold your horn where you want it. Make sure it is centered. And then you're just going to keep pinning. I'm going to do every stitch. When you do that, it won't move around. And if you go down, and then if you go straight down, and then you kind of lean your pin over and push in, that secures it really well. Instead of just sticking it straight down. It's kind of a pain, but you will thank yourself as you're going around and it doesn't move. Okay. Thread your needle. Maybe do one last double check that it's where you want it. It's kind of the highest part of the head. And now you're just going to go down, staying under the horn so you don't see the stitches. You can take that knot, you're going to go down under your horn and over. Make sure you're always catching a stitch when you're going through the head and when you're going up through the horn. And I'm kind of doing this the hard way, but it is a nice result when you're done. And we're going to go down our next stitch, go into our head, and up through the next round. And then up through the next stitch. So the last stitch we went down right there, so we're going to go up through this one. Mine might look a little messy because I'm doing it so slow and trying to stay in the camera, but it should be okay. Then down the next stitch and through the row, and don't come up this way if you're not going to be under the horn. If you're going to be under the horn, you want to go over. Because you don't want to see these stitches. Even if you have to come backwards a bit to go back into that next stitch, that's okay. And then into the next stitch. Around that next round. up into the next stitch. Make sure you're pulling it nice and tight so that it's all staying under the horn. I'll finish this off and then I will show you why I do it like this. So down through the next stitch and out. And we should be basically all the way around and then up into this stitch. Oops, I caught a little stuffing there. Right through it. And then I like to go down and over to the stitch I started in, just so that you don't have that little gap there. But I'm gonna have to fix mine because I went in the stuffing, but and then find a spot to give it a tie. I actually might go in here one more time. That darn stuffing. I was doing so good. So then find a little spot kind of under the horn that you can give it a tie. I hope I'm close enough for you guys here. My pin just fell out. And then you're going to pull that down in the same stitches you were in so you can hide that knot and come out to the back somewhere. So you just give that a good pull, get that knot down in there. And cut that. I know most of us all hate sewing the pieces on, but that's not actually too bad if you just kind of start it and slowly go through it. Okay, if you don't go under the horn like I just showed you, this is what you will get. You will get all this mess kind of around your horn, and you're going to see, unless it's the same color, it worked okay for this one, but I don't want many of my things to have that stitch line around it. Okay, now we will do the ears, and I'm going to pin that as well. So we want to be on about the 11th row, and I always start on this side, and then I'm going to compare it to this side, even though it's going to be back just a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to be going around this row 11. So I'm just going to stick my pin right in row 11. I need another pin. And from the horn, you decide whether you're going to start back here or up here. You're going to count over, let's see, to the third hole. So 1, 2, 3. And the 5th hole, 4, 5. And that seems low to me. Oh, maybe not. It does seem a little low. But we got to get our little bangs in through here, so. Oh, I hope you guys could see that. I didn't put this down far enough. And then we're going to do that on the other side as well. So kind of match up this 11th row. I think it's this one. Let's go here. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5. And that is about where you're going to start doing your ears. You can kind of just hold them up there, see if you'll be happy with that. Yep, that will be okay. So thread one of your ears on, and I am making sure that my tail is on the bottom, so I'm sewing up, and then when I get here, I can kind of pull them in and tie them behind the horn. So go in where your bottom pin is, and you can get rid of that. Now if I was using plush yarn, I wouldn't be putting them back in my pin cushion. I'd be setting them to the side so that I could keep track of how many pins I still had out. And you're just going to go in, so you've gone through under the row, you're going to go through in the bottom of those 2 stitches. The bottom is in, this is the top stitch, this is the bottom. You're just going to go around that a couple of times in the same stitch of the row and the same stitch of the ear. And then you're going to go up one stitch? No, go up to your other pin. Around that row. And then through the top stitch of your end stitches on your ears. So it's just 2 stitches, but I go around a few times just to make sure they're secure on there. And maybe not quite as floppy if you only had 1 stitch. You could always go here and do 1 more stitch if you want them to be up a little more. I'm just going to leave mine, I think. Although I will say I do have to kind of move these around a bit. So if you want to put an extra stitch in there, go for it. Actually, no, I'm going to leave it. Okay. So once you get back to the back, you are just going to find one small little spot of where you can grab a piece, and then you're going to tie a knot. You want that to be nice and tight and close to where the ear joins. And then you're going to bring that down into your last place you stitched. So there's your 2 stitches you were using, and then just come up behind the horn somewhere. And then we'll leave that for a minute, and we'll come over and do this one. So same thing, decide where you went around. So it's looking like it was this one. So I'm going to come in front of where my pin is, so I'm on the same row. And I'm going to do the same thing, going through those 2 stitches on the ear and around 11-ish on the body. Just go through a couple of times. Make sure it's getting nice and tight. And then switch to your top stitch. And you're going to bring that over. Remember, you went in front of where you had your pin, so go in front again. So you're on the same row. Unless you're going for a different look and want little cockeyed ears or tippy ears. I don't know how much of a difference it'll make with 2 little stitches, but it might. And I think I'll go 1 more time. Okay, good enough. Then find that little stitch you want to grab a piece of. Right there will work. Make your knot. And then bring that in and down. Same stitch you just tied it in. And out the same stitch that your other ear string came out of. And then you'll just give them a pull, kind of pop that knot in. And if you want to turn them this way, Tie a very light knot, and then give it a pull, and you can kind of bring them ears in if you want, or leave them out. It looks funny in my camera, but it actually isn't tipped funny. And then spin it around and tie it however you wanted it. Okay. And then you're just going to take those ends and put them out through the bottom somewhere. Making sure that knot popped down through so you don't see it. Okay, we can get rid of this now. We know the top. Okay, I think I did the mane first before and then added the eyes, but I've done 3 of them now. I know where the eyes are going. So I actually usually just use my regular yarn. And if you can see this, I don't know if you can tell. Can you tell if it's kind of like coming up? It's really fuzzy, and you can see that it looks messy. Oh, this one's maybe better to look at. See how fuzzy that is? So I took black cotton and I've decided to use that instead. And I think that looks way better. So I'm going to do that again. So you don't need very much. And if you don't have cotton, don't worry about it. You could also use embroidery thread. That would probably be better. And I did try to do the sleepy eye where it comes down like this and then you put the eyelashes in. I just couldn't get it how I wanted it. I felt like I could see the eyelashes, so if you want to try that, you can. I'm just going to show you how you do these funny little, and actually it looks good. Just a little line looks good too. If you just do a line, tipped it up or down. But I will show you how I did this shape. So I'm going to go in my one green pin and out my other green pin, going kind of down and catching the stuffing so I don't see that black line up here. I just envisioned little black knots here too would be cute. Oh, maybe they're not big enough. So see, if you wanted to just give them little slanted eyes and be done, they even don't look bad going down. I wouldn't go up. I'd go down or kind of straight out. So you have an even amount of yarn on each side. Take one side. Should we pin these? I don't think we need to. So you want to come back about 2 stitches. So over here. So I went down and over 2. And then I'm going to come back in that same stitch as I started. And then I'm going to come down and go over 2 the other way. So 1, 2. So into here. And then I'm going to come back in where I started. And you don't have to go in these spots. It's just seemed to work for me. And then you're going to come back down into this middle one. So you have your first one, a hole. You'll put your third one, a hole, and your second. I did that backwards, but. And then you're going to come out through there and up somewhere around the center, making sure you you go in and grab some stuffing so that you can pop that down as well after you tie your knot. And don't pull that tight like I did, so you have a little. I actually think I might have made mine too short. But I think that'll be okay. I just got to remember. Yeah, I think I went down here for my other ones, so try that if you want. I don't mind that. Just make sure you do it the same on both sides. So now you want to go down 1 stitch and over about 2, so about here and up where you began. I'm going to have a stuffing issue right here, I see. And the same thing, another way you can line it up is by going like this, across. So I'm going to put mine here, I think, or is it here? I'm going to go up 1. And then go back in where you started. I obviously should have made this a little longer string. And then down into that same row and out where you took your other one out. Remembering not to pull that tightly. And then you're just going to tie it loosely. You can tie it a little tighter if you made longer lashes on the last one, but I made mine little, so I don't want to pull that too much, or you won't even see them. I got stuffing in there. Look at that chunk of stuffing. It's a big guy. Okay. The one thing about black is you really shows up your stuffing if you pull it out too far. Then we're just going to hide that down somewhere. Out the bottom. Being careful not to pull your eyes too much. See if that works. Nope, I can feel them. Well, I'm going to have to just fix them again. All right. I might have to redo this guy's eyes, but this one didn't pull out. Okay. Poke that in if it didn't bounce in. I think we're done with our pins for right now. And we just have to make the mane and the tail. So get your accent color. All I did for the pieces of the mane, just wrapped it around my hand. I think I did about 15 times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This seems like a lot more than I had. But then you're just going to cut that and the one end. Oh, I love how sparkly this yarn is. Okay. And you're just going to start. I think, I'm 1 row in front of my ears for the 2 bang pieces. So I started with that. So fold your piece over. Bring it through whatever round you're starting on, and then just grab it and bring it through that loop. And these are the 2 I'm going to have in front, so match that up to the other side. And I'll try and do this from a different angle. I'm sure you got it, but so you pull that through. Then you have the loop on your hook. You grab your strands of yarn, and then you pull it through that loop, and then just give it a tug. And you're just going to do that all the way around. On the blue one, I kind of crisscrossed like this. If you see, there's just a mess of stitches. You can't see any white there. And then on this kind of corally colored one, I went around the horn a bit. And then I just did a few going down, trying to cover the white. And I didn't go through many stitches. So I have, what, 1, 2, 3 rows only that I went through, and then the 2 bangs on the front. It's all going to depend what kind of look you want. So I think I'm going to leave that. I'm going to bump up and do his tail. And I'm going to do this part later because I'm actually kind of getting to the end of my videos for a little bit. There's only, I don't know, 13, I think, days until Christmas. And I need to kind of get back into Christmas mode and out of video mode. Shopping, and we have to go get our daughter. We gotta go deliver some meat. And hopefully my husband will have a few days off so we can enjoy some time together. Oh, guess what? I actually can't remember how long I made. I think I did the same thing for the tail, but I might have spread my fingers out a bit. And you're just going to go around, I don't know, about 5 or so times. Just make them a little longer. You're going to end up trimming them, but I always say better to have a little more than not enough. Although I hate wasting this yarn. Now that I've used it. Originally when I bought it, I keep looking at it and thinking mermaid tail. But there's so many out there, I don't know how to make one that's, you know, different. So you're just going to insert down into the bum somewhere at the top. You're going to grab your few strands right in the center. You're going to pull it through. And this might be trickier than the last time. I don't use my hook to go through. I separate these and then I kind of just bring these all down and in. Just so I don't miss any and have to redo it. And then you're just going to give that a pull. Don't pull too hard, just kind of, and then just kind of gently grab them one at a time, supporting that. So you don't want to have a big point here because you pulled it too hard. And then you're just going to trim these wherever you want them. I'm going to do about table length from where he sits. And then when you're done the mane, I pulled his mane all the way up, including the front. And I just kind of put my fingers level with the horn, maybe a bit of an angle down, and then I just cut them like this. So if you want them shorter so they kind of stand up, that will kind of do that. If you want to leave them longer like originally did, do that. That would be cute too. But I like, for some reason, the little spikies. So I'm probably going to lose most of you right now. I think we're basically done except for the top part of his mane. So before you go, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And not only does that, like I said, help me out, it will also notify you when I load more patterns if you're enjoying the things I've been creating. Likes and comments are always appreciated. What What else? Oh, I have also a Facebook craft page that will be linked down in the bottom. So if you'd like to share any photos of what you've made, you can go onto that page and you can find the YouTube post and just go in there and go into the comments and leave a photo. What else? Oh, like I said, I'm not probably going to do too many videos between now and maybe New Year's. We'll see. I'm kind of addicted to this now too, so I could get in on it. But so if I do, I'm probably not going to do this medium one because it's basically the same size as the other. But when I do the plush one, I will link it also down in the bottom of this. So if you're watching this freshly new, it won't be there yet. But if you're watching this in the future, it'll be down there. So just keep putting your hair where you want it. If you're doing the plush one, hold tight. I'm just going to do a couple more of these and then I will show you what I did for that one. Just kind of really quickly. Maybe I'll just put this one in and then I'll stop. Can't get it in. Okay, so let's put this guy to the side. And where did I put? Oh, I forgot how cute he looks. Okay. I'm actually kind of impressed with him, considering when I did his shape, I wasn't sure. But then once I got the horn and everything, ears, everything on, he looked really good. Okay, so a lot of this is fluff and looks. When you fold it open, this is a chain of 5. And then I went in the second chain from the hook, slip stitched, and then I chained 10. And then I increased 9 times all the way down. So I would have had 18 stitches all the way down. And then I would have slip stitched into the next chain on my hook. And then I just chained up 10 again. And then increased all the way down. So I did that 4 times on this side. And then I flipped around to this side. And I did it 4 times on this side. And it's really tricky if it gets really bulky. So just make sure you're keeping these chains nice and straight when you go down them. And this chain, if you mark it with a string before you get started, that might help. Just make sure you're going 4 this way, turn your chain around, and 4 this way. And then, oh yeah, and then so I took one end. I would have had a tail here. I put that down in at the horn. I came up and down about 3 or 4 times. And then I just tied a knot with the other end of my tail and put that and tied them and put them down and hit them on the inside. And then for the tail, I just did my loop. And I just started chaining exactly like I did up here. So I chained 10, then I increased 9 times, so that was 18 stitches. And I slip stitched back in my loop. And then I did another 10, and I did that 3 times. You might want to watch how it falls, because I had a really hard time. I made sure, let's just say I made sure that the top, this was up top and these were down below instead of the other way around. I think that's it. The eyes are pretty much the same. Every stitch is exactly the same. I guess that's it. So, like I said before, if you're still with me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And I hope you all have a great day. Stay safe and happy crocheting. Okay, now I have to fit him in. Whoops, I just lost my axolotl. Come back.